Hello, everybody. Welcome to this afternoon's webinar. I am Sharon Harvey, and I will be your host for today. And our topic for today is demystifying the market scene. So welcome, welcome. I will just give you just a couple of moments to make sure that everyone is on today. I can see our participants are rising, so welcome to everybody. And whilst we're actually doing that, I am going to launch a poll. So if you could just take a moment to complete that, that would be much appreciated. And then we will be able to get started. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining me this afternoon. We have just launched a welcome poll. So I would ask that you take a moment to complete that, please, and then we'll be able to get started today. There's just a few questions on there so we can get to know our audience that little bit better. And for those of you that have answered that this is your first time joining us, it's great to have you. And welcome to our returning participants and clients as well. It's great to have you back. And I can see we've got a healthy mix here. So we've got some participants joining that they're new to the market scene and have not yet started yet. So that's an exciting space to be in. A few have said that they've attended markets often as a means to promote the products, their products. And there's a few that have said that they've dabbled with markets. So you are all in the right place. And you're here today to learn more from the experts, all of the above. So insurance requirements, the considerations of running a successful market. Well, thank you everyone for completing that. And I'm pleased to hear all of that because you are 100% definitely in the right place. So I'm just going to take a couple of moments to share with you a little bit about Business South. But before we do that, I'd like to, first of all, welcome to country. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners on which we meet today. I'd also like to pay our respects to elders, past and present. So a little bit about Business South. Just one second, I just need to move the graphics that are popping up. Okay, so I am Sharon Harvey, as mentioned, and I am an entrepreneurship facilitator at Business South. And my esteemed colleague, Makala, is in the chat box today. So if there is any questions that you have or anything that you would like to share, then feel free to pop them into the chat box and Makala will do her best to address that and or save it to the end when we do have our Q&A spot. So Business South, we cover a few different things, but today I wanted to mainly focus in on, we are here to provide and give you assistance with your business idea, startup advice. We offer amazing networking opportunities, workshops, and we are here to create a sense of community and collaboration amongst Southern Tasmania and all of our small business operators. Our services are provided free of charge. So first of all, I would like to welcome up Dee, and I am going to share a little bit about Dee with you all and her business, so you can get a bit of a feeling about who Dee is and what products she has marketed at her markets. So lesson 3 naturally started as a desire to replace the items in Dee's bathroom with products that Dee could be certain contained safe ingredients. After doing some research into what is actually in some of the commercial skincare and body care products, Dee realized that she couldn't be sure of what the labels were telling her or what the ingredients actually were. So Dee did some further research and some study and started formulating her own products. Dee has always been interested in DIY, essential oils and natural products, and was excited by all the ingredients available. So each time that she made a new product, there was always way too much for her to use. So she would share them, and those that she shared them with were asking for more for themselves. So essentially, the business was formed, and from that, it has now moved into an online store and also operating through the market scene as well. So I know that everyone would be so eager to hear a little bit more from Dee. So I'd like to officially welcome Dee to the conversation today. And I would like Dee to share with us, first of all, what you wish that you knew or had access to when you started with markets. So welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Sharon. So what I wish I knew, I wish I'd gone and scoped out some of the markets beforehand, just to make your first time at the market a lot easier. Things like checking out the access, where the parking is, if there's stairs, or also gone with a friend who was a stall holder just to get a feel for the market, a bit of the vibe, and how the other stalls look, just so you can, you know, not be the same, but fit in. And also going to the markets, getting an idea of how the stalls look, give you a bit of an idea of what things you might like to use for your stall, you know, how you might like to display, whether you want to use boxes or stands or, you know, tablecloths or plants or whatever to make it look nicer. You get little ideas rather than going in sort of blind. One of the other things I wish I had done a bit more of was watch how stall holders interact with their customers, not in a creepy way, but not stalking them, but just seeing, you know, how they talk to customers, how you approach them, how you ask people to, you know, look at your stuff without being, you know, pushy and salesy. So, you know, watching those kind of interactions, I think, would have been really, really helpful. The other thing too is to go and have a look and make sure the market's for you. Like if you're a maker with a quality craft product, you don't want to be at a car boot sale type market, because that's all the patrons are going to be looking for is car boot sale items, not your quality craft, and they're not going to want to pay for quality craft. So you might as well be at a market that is designed for your product.
Sure.
So probably the other thing that was a gotcha for me that I wish I had known beforehand was insurance and registration. So I got insurance after my first couple of markets when I realised that I needed to have public liability and product insurance, but I actually didn't get enough insurance for some of the markets. So I was excluded from some of the markets, especially the bigger Christmas markets, until I renewed and upgraded my insurance. The other thing that I didn't know going into it as well is for things like my product that you put on your skin, and other products like toys, the insurance is a lot higher than general, you know, craft products. So do your research on your insurance first. I actually ended up having to go through a broker to get a decent priced, and when I say decent, it's still quite high, but a decent priced insurance policy, because most of them just excluded. If you have a product that goes on your skin, that's an exclusion. So nothing of mine was going to be covered, unfortunately. And in registrations, again, if you say you're doing food, you need to have food registration with the councils, or you need to research that. I have to be registered with, and I'm going to have to read this because I get it wrong every time. The Australian Industrial Chemicals Introduction Scheme, because the reason with that is if you have any kind of processed soap or cosmetics, you're potentially altering the product. So you know, with the soap, you're causing a chemical reaction called saponification, changing it. So you need to actually pay a registration for that to be able to sell those products. Yeah, so
fantastic.
Yes. So yeah, they're probably my big things that I wish I had known before. They weren't gotchas, but they did hold things up a little bit.
And I'm sure anyone that's tuning in and is similar or looking to be product-wise like you, probably sitting there and they're very pleased that they've joined today just with those couple of things alone. So that's fantastic. Thank you. Now, what I would like for you to do, please, Dee, is to share your top 5 tips with everybody.
Okay. Top 5. Probably number 1, well, no, they're not in any particular. My first one is show your prices clearly. They don't have to be up really big so people can see them from a distance, but if people come to your stall and look at them, they need to be able to see how much something is. People don't want to ask for what a price, how much something costs, because they don't want to be either surprised and then have to say no because they've already started to talk to you, or or have to. And you don't want them to say, oh, that's too expensive, or I could make it for cheaper, or you just don't want to open up that kind of conversation. Just let them see the prices so they know what things are. Even if it's, and I think, Sharon, you mentioned this, even if it's a range, even if it's just starting from a range, so people have an idea. So then if it's within their price range, then and they want it, they'll come and talk to you. And on that as well is don't make people guess what you're selling. You need to have some sort of sign up to say what your business name is, but what you're selling. So for me, lesson 3 naturally doesn't mean much to people. So I always have organic, natural, vegan skincare somewhere near where I have my signage, so people can see straight away that it is skincare, it's natural, vegan, organic, even though people still come and ask, oh, is it all vegan? But at least I've got it there for the people who do read. And it can be as simple as just having an A3 or an A4 sheet, Velcro to the front of your table to let people know what your product is. Because then if they're interested in it, they'll come and have a look. Because my feeling is that if they're not really sure what it is, they won't even bother coming up and having a look. They'll just bypass you. So that's 2.
Mm-hmm.
3, don't attend the market until you're really ready. Don't go in half cocked and think, oh, it'll be close enough. You really want to give yourself the best opportunity to be a success at your debut market. So you make sure you have all your labeling, your signage, your props, your tablecloth, your point of sale, your cash tin. You've ticked all your boxes and you've got everything how you're happy with. I started off just doing printed Avery labels on my printer. They really weren't that great, and I really wish I had just waited until I got my professional labels done, because I certainly could see the difference in how much it made an impact on the success of my markets when I had better labeling on my products and better signage. So what else have we got? And honestly, just Google market stall checklist. You would be surprised the amount of things that you hadn't thought about, even just simple things like take water. I always forget my water bottle. I have to put it in my car the day before when I'm packing my car because I always forget my water bottle. Snacks, paracetamol, blue tack, sticky tape, even just little things like that, Band-Aids, because you never know what's going to happen at the market. And, you haven't got time to run down to the nearest chemist or wherever to get what you need. So, yeah, have a Google, find the things that are going to make sense to you and make yourself a checklist. Lastly, people buy you as well as your products. So you need to be personable and engaging, but not pushy and salesy. I've seen some stall holders sitting behind their stall reading a book. To me, that not only looks unprofessional, but it looks like they'd rather be somewhere else. And to me as a customer, I'm turned off approaching them, because if they can't be bothered being there to talk to me, I can't be bothered buying their product. So that, be prepared to have a chat, tell people about your product. And if they like you and have a memorable experience and build up a rapport, they're going to be telling other people. And that's what you want.
Fantastic.
I think that's
Thank you so much. Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much. Wonderful. And I would like to make a special note that today's webinar and all of the information that is provided is general of nature. And it is up to you as the business owner to ensure that you are legally protected and that you do seek further counsel from qualified professionals where required when considering markets as an option for your business. So insurance and everything else in between. Thank you so much, Dee, for sharing that with everyone. That's fantastic. Welcome. And now what we are going to do is to move on to the lovely Kath. So I would like to introduce you to Kath and share a little bit about Kath with you. And I do have notes. I'm amazing, but I'm not that amazing that I can remember everything. And we've got 3 fabulous panelists on today, and I didn't want to miss anything. So a little bit about Hand Naturally and Kath. The business came to be because Kath's love of essential oils and crystals and wanting to share them with others. Kath began making gemstone essential oil diffuser jewelry during COVID after encouragement from her husband that she had the skills to make them. After thinking over it for a while and realizing there was a way to share what Kath loved with others, Kath decided to give it a go, and the rest, as they say, is history. The name is an acronym, and it stands for Heal, Awaken, and Nurture, and naturally represents both essential oils and gemstones. So that's how the name became about and was formed. So knowing that people often needed to see, touch and smell before buying an item, Kath decided that her best option for reaching people and also for being able to share her passion was to be attending markets. So we are going to now welcome Kath, but before we do that, I did neglect to say that Dee had been operating or has been operating markets for about 18 months. So welcome to Kath. Great to have you.
Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you for saying yes to joining us today. So I'm going to ask you the same questions that we just asked Dee. So what were the things that you wish that you had known before starting in the markets? And can you please just make a note of letting everyone know how long you've been doing them for as well, please?
Yeah, no worries. So I've been doing markets since September 2020, and I've been very regular. Obviously, there's been some stopping and starting because of COVID and events not going ahead, but I have been attending quite regularly since September 2020. And that can be monthly markets on a regular basis, and also some larger events towards Christmas each year. Probably one of the biggest things that I want to point out to people is be confident in your product and your setup. You don't have to be like the others or have similar setups, because your product is yours, and how you present it and how you present your stall is actually a reflection of you. And as Dee mentioned, people, yes, they buy your product, but they also buy a part of you because they have that rapport with you. So it's okay not to fit in the box, and it can get a little bit squishy if everybody's trying to fit in the same box. So be confident in yourself and the product that you sell, and that actually will reflect in your presentation at the markets. So, you know, be ready with a smile and be proud of what you're there selling, and be proud of the time and the effort and the piece of your heart that you've put into those products that you've made. The other thing that I really encourage is speak directly to the market organiser. It's their market, it's their business. So go to them for what their expectations are of you as a stallholder. Don't rely solely on other stallholders to give you information about being at the market, because they're going to give you their interpretation of things. And it may not always be spot on. It mightn't always be quite correct. So the market organisers are there to help you and to help you get comfortable. So don't be afraid to reach out to them. They're always willing to help and give you advice and answer any questions that you have. They're not these unapproachable people that you need to be in awe of. They're just like you attending the markets and trying to run your business. The market organisers are also running a business. So how you present yourself and your stall at their market also reflects on them. So certainly have a chat with them to get some feedback as well. The other thing that I initially found difficult and still do sometimes is when you apply for a market, you don't automatically get in. So you are occasionally going to hear no's or not yet, or unfortunately, sometimes you actually don't even hear back. If it's a market that you really wanted to attend, don't lose heart. If you hear a no the first time, ask to go on a wait list. They have lots of applications to troll through. So if you don't hear anything back, don't be afraid to just send them another email and confirm they got your application. And if they did, but it's a no at the moment, ask to go on that waiting list. And then check back with them later to see if there's another time that you could attend. But also, if you don't get in after trying a couple of times, maybe it just wasn't the right market for you and your product, and just be open to going somewhere else and trying. And the same thing is, if you get into a market but you don't feel it's the right fit for you, you don't have to keep going back. You don't have to keep putting in an application or an expression of interest to go again, because it is also about your business. The other thing that I personally made a mistake of when I first started was I tried to pack too much into my display. I wanted to show everything. I wanted people to see all the great things that I'd made. But looking back in hindsight, I probably started off with having too much on my stall. It was too busy, it looked crowded, and it wasn't really as inviting as I wanted it to be. So take lots of photos, and like Dee said, do a practice run as well, because I look back at some of my first market displays as opposed to what I have now, and I'm like, wow. And you evolve and you grow, but be mindful of, while you want to share absolutely everything that you've done, probably don't put it all out all at once. And if you're going to be attending a market each month, maybe keep some things for the next time that you're there, because if there's regular market goers, regular people going to have a look, it's nice for them to see something different if they see you there every month as well. So don't have to pack it all in all at once, because you'll have other markets to attend and share your products with. Invest in a trolley to help get your stock from your car to where your market stall is. It does cut down on 5,000 trips carrying tubs and tables and chairs and things. So invest in a little trolley just to help you and make things easier for you. And probably one of my other things is always make sure your phone and your FPOS facility are charged and ready to go the night before, so that you don't have any flat batteries to try and deal with. And also offer multiple payment options. So some people do like to still have cash and pay with cash. So make sure you've got a small float so that you will be able to give them back some change. But yeah, my unit that I use is a Square terminal. They're very, very simple to use. And basically, if I can use it and make it work, then you're going to be fine, because I'm a little bit of technology is not my thing. So so if I can successfully make regular sales through the FPOS terminal, which is connected to your phone, anybody can do it. So
Fantastic.
And have fun.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
And I'm sure a few people are sitting there thinking, oh, I'm so pleased that she was honest about that. That sounds a little bit like me. So that's fantastic. Thank you so much, Kath. And there is some other things that, some tips that people may wish to consider that you've got as well.
Yeah, if you're in the position to offer a sample, so like Dee, she has sample products available, and I also with my products, I have essential oil samples that I actually give with my products, so that people can actually use the item of jewelry or the accessory that they've bought from me. They can use it straight away, and that helps with the experience. They're getting the whole deal, so they know what they're getting. So if you make cakes, maybe if you've got one that seems to be a big seller, have some little samples for people if it is possible. Not always possible, depending on what you make, but if you have the ability to give samples, that's also and it's a nice conversation starter as well. It helps break the ice. And also join Facebook groups to do with the markets that are going on in your area, and also statewide market groups, because it helps you stay on top of events that are coming up, and helps you work out what ones you'd like to actually apply for.
Fantastic. Great. And you can have that finding who's on your team within those Facebook groups as well, and possibly some collaboration and, you know, forming, you know, some friendships within there if you're looking for that as well. So, and I know that that's certainly something that you've both been able to do, which is brilliant. So wonderful. Thank you so much, Kath, for sharing with us. I am going to encourage anyone that's had an aha moment or something that they would like to share that has been of value so far for today to pop that into the chat box, because we would love to see that and love to hear from you. Or if you would simply just like to share in the chat box where you're actually listening in from today. So the suburb that you're listening in to from today, that would be wonderful as well. So whilst you are doing that, I'm going to move on to the wonderful Samantha and share a little bit about Sam with you all. So Sam became the proud owner of the Art of Tea in 2007 with a significant career change from senior environment scientist to becoming the tea lady. Over the past 15 years, she has grown the small business founded at Salamanca Market in 2000 to an iconic Tasmanian brand with 8 local employees and customers all over Australia. Her online business has gone from strength to strength, and the wholesale reach is extensive, with hundreds of cafes, restaurants, high-end hotels and gourmet grocery stores, both locally and interstate. Some of the Art of Tea customers include Mona, Sapphire, and the Australian Antarctic stations. Opening a delightful boutique store in Battery Point was a highlight of the growing business. Sam continued the tradition of trading at the renowned Salamanca Market until COVID, and also attended the large Deloraine Craft Fair and AgFest for many years, as well as exhibiting at the Melbourne Tea Festival and various indoor trade fairs and local markets. So managing a Tasmanian business through many changes whilst maintaining strong core business values of health, relationship, making a difference and being a genuine and caring is all part of the success of this small business. She brings a wealth of knowledge and experience from trading at hundreds of market days, and can vouch for the value of a market presence to grow a brand and contribute to business profitability and longevity as well. So I think everyone's just super excited to hear from you, Sam, after that. I know that I am. So welcome to Sam from The Art of Tea. And Sam will be covering a few key things with you today, but I would also like to point out that Sam has very generously put her time together and put together a handout, very comprehensive handout that will come to all that have registered for today's webinar as well. So welcome, Sam, over to you.
Thanks, Sharon. Yeah, I just wanted to, I guess, reiterate that from a business owner point of view, having been in business for 15 years and the brand itself is now 22 years old. So for those that are just starting out or thinking, oh, I might want to go to a market very early stage in business, the point of this is to say that you can take just a market stall idea to be a much bigger business over time if you want to. You'd probably recognise the Art of Tea in many places around Tasmania, and as Sharon said, we do now ship our products all over Australia, and we're very proud to support the Antarctic stations with our tea. We've been at Mona for many years, and recently Sapphire sought us out also to have our tea products there. So as a beginning, I guess I just want to say that this could be the start of something really big for you. And if you'd asked me that, or if I'd have been, fast forward myself 15 years ago, there's no way I would have thought my business would have been at this size. I was just turning up at the market to sell some tea and to go home and to buy some groceries. That was kind of my point of having a business. So you might be just at that stage too, where you're feeling a little bit uncertain about where your business wants to go, but you've got a great idea, you think you've got a great product, and you want to test the water at a marketplace, which is a fantastic thing to do. So the three things I'm going to cover off today are business feasibility and relationship building and marketing and profitability. And I'm hoping to do all that in about 15 minutes. Sharon has also mentioned that I've put together quite a comprehensive document for you. It's about 12 pages that covers off things like pricing, setup, marketing, market etiquette, communications, charity, insurance, legal, things like that. So there's quite a comprehensive document coming to you as a gift for showing up today. But today I'm just going to cover off, I guess, 3 key points that would be probably helpful for you to keep in mind as you're approaching going to a market. So the key one here to start off with is feasibility. And what I mean by that is you've come up with a great idea for a product. You've made some candles in the shape of a Tassie devil or whatever you've made, and you think this is an absolute cracker of an idea, but you're not really sure what other people will think. So going along to a market will help you understand if people like your products and do they want it and do they need it. And what you'll hear at the market is, it's really important, I guess, while you're at the market to use your time to really listen to what your customers are saying about it. Sometimes that'll be in a direct conversation with the customers, but a lot of the time you've just got to be having your ears open and listening to what people are chatting in the background, because they will say a lot that you need to understand is why not they'll buy your product. They don't like the size, it's too awkward to carry if they're traveling, it's too expensive, it's just like what their Aunt Lucy makes, the colour's a bit too purple, whatever it is that they say is absolute gold for you to understand with your product is going to have potential to keep going as a business product. So I firmly encourage that you have big ears and a thick skin, and you use those opportunities to have those ideally conversations with people, but often it's not even in the conversations that you hear 2 people chatting in the corner of your stall about what they think, and that's going to help shape what you take to the next market, how you price your products, and you know, say for example, you take a range, like Kath mentioned, you know, don't take everything to the market. I suggest you take, say, several sizes of your product, and learn from that experience which size, for example, that the customers prefer to buy. It might be because they're only got hand carry-on luggage, so a smaller size means they can buy 3 of them rather than 1 large item. That's 3 gifts for friends rather than 1 big thing. It might be too bulky to carry a framed picture, but it might be possible to carry 3 postcards or 3, you know, smaller prints. So it's just a perfect way to gauge what people will buy and why. So and I remember at the beginning, my first few markets, I inherited my market stall. So I bought the Art of Tea back in 2007, and the market stall already existed. So I wasn't involved with the initial design of it. But what I thought would be the products that would sell weren't necessarily the products that people wanted to buy. So I had to put a bit aside of what my preferences were and remember that I'm running a business and listen to what the customers want and what they want to buy. So don't go and sell black candles if you hate black candles. I'm not suggesting you wholly change your product range to something that's not you, but just focus on what the customers are truly wanting to buy. Have a checklist, have a little sheet of paper there, mark down, ideally know what stock you've taken, and then at the end of the day do a stock take. That's the easiest way to do it. That's what I found, because sometimes during the day it's too busy to mark off things. But know what you've taken. At the end of the market, check off what's sold. That'll give you a fair indication of what people are prepared to pay for. But yeah, so market research, you'll know what size they like, what colours they like, and what the barriers are to buying it are. So my take home for that feasibility is to markets are a great place to go and test your products. If you're just a casual store holder somewhere, you haven't invested a lot, ideally an indoor market to start with, so you're not having to invest in a tent and so forth. Try an indoor market, see what people will buy, and be really open-minded to feedback. Try not to take things personally. They really might not like it. Your products aren't going to suit everybody, and that's okay. You just be open-minded for that too. And as they say, you can't please everybody, and that's a fact. What you do want to do is ask questions and be open to the feedback, and be prepared to perhaps tweak your product from what you thought was perfect to something that's probably going to be more sellable, because in the end of the day, you want to be able to turn up next week and sell more of it and go home with some money. So that's the first part, feasibility. Check using a marketplace to see if your product is something that people will buy and whether it's worth keeping on manufacturing, making, blending, whatever that product is. Secondly, I think it's been covered a little bit by Kath and Dee, but creating a relationship with the people that come into your market stall is absolutely fundamental to a sale. And you only have a small amount of time with a person that you've never met before. You can't influence who's come into your site, but you can influence the conversation that you have. And my way of doing that is to always ask, where are you from? And, you know, what brings you to Tasmania? And why did you decide to come to the market? Like, ask about them first before you launch into all about you and all about your products, because that, you know, that's a good way to start a conversation. It's sort of an obvious thing to say, but it goes a long way. What you might also want to do as a tip in your setup in your stall is to have the items closest to you that require the most explanation or are the most interesting items, because people will linger there and you'll notice, you can pick up their body language that they are curious about something and they may not be quite ready to ask a question, but if you watch them pausing and maybe talking to their friend or just maybe touching or thinking, that's an opportunity just to say to them, oh, hi, how are you going, and where you're from. So again, you're not pouncing in on them about the product, but you're just observing the fact that they have a curiosity on something. And then you can use that opportunity to ask about them and then tell them a little bit more about the product. And Dee also mentioned having good signage, and I think this is really, and Kath too, just make sure you've got those price signs obvious, what the product contains, what it's good for. Have a little snapshot of what the product will do so someone can read it, so they don't have to ask all those basic questions, so you don't have to repeat yourself 3,000 times in one day, which you will anyway, but just start with that. And then having that conversation with them when they're close and they're showing some interest around that subject. Also, as has been mentioned, know your why, know your story, know why you're there, why you've created this particular product, because people want to know about you. You're at a marketplace where you have that opportunity to have that short but one-to-one engagement and relationship. So you want to know a bit about where they've come from in northern Queensland and how they've gone with the floods or whatever, and they want to know a bit about you, why you've created a Tassie devil-shaped candle or whatever you've created. So know your why and have that obvious, or be prepared to say it 1,000 times. Also have your branding everywhere. So as you can see, I've got my one of my banners here behind me. At your market stall, you want people to leave your market stall and know exactly what product you have, and that they can see it again and again and again, so they'll remember the branding. So have good branding and have it everywhere, and also have little leaflets that they can pick up that has your socials, social media, your website, your phone number, if you have a LinkedIn address, whatever you have, just make sure all those things are abundantly clear everywhere, and ideally like little flyers. And if they buy anything, make sure all that business information is actually attached to your product in a not tacky way, but something that's professional. Vistaprint is super cheap at printing great products, but make sure people can know how to find you again. So what you're trying to do at the market is create a good positive experience for the person. Ideally, they'll buy something there and they've got something tangible to take away with them. But what you want them to take away also is an impression of you as a person, your brand, and also how they can buy it again, because they're in a marketplace and they're thinking, oh, this is just a little cute stall in the corner here in, the bottom nook of Australia. I've bought this, lip balm that smells like a lemon myrtle tree, whatever. I need to know how they can buy again, and you need them to know how they can buy again. So all that product, all your business information has to be with the product, and it's better if you also have an incentive for them to buy again. So yes, maybe your product is $20 at the market and you've got one sale. What you want is that customer to be a lifetime customer. So you'll need to add them incentive, give them an incentive to then go onto your website when they get home. And they've got all at the market, what's caught up with them, they're busy back at work, so on and so forth. But when they run low in their product, if it's consumable product, or a picture, and then they want 2 or 3 of them, whatever, they need to know how to find you. And there needs to be an incentive for them to go from being a person at the market to someone who's on your website. Because once they've arrived on your website and they've filled in their personal details, their name and address and their email address, and you've posted to something, then you can market to them again and again and again, because you've got their details. And pretty much if you've got a customer who's bought something from you twice, they're more likely to fall in love with it and buy it 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 times and onwards. I've got customers that I've had since the beginning. So I used to handwrite out the invoices, so I remember some of these names. These are back in the days, and they still buy tea from us now. So build that relationship, give them the easy way of finding you again. Have a QR code, for example, on an A4 piece of paper in the corner of your market, so they can scan it, they can instantly join your Facebook page and so on. Another way to do that is, if you want to capture their email addresses, is to have a go in the draw to win competition at your stall. So you might have an A4 piece of paper, and as you fill in your name and email address and go in the draw to win a free hand cream, or a set of 3 candles, or whatever it is you're selling, and you might have a sample version of that. Because once we've got, like I said, if they put their name and their phone number down, and everybody loves a free something in a competition, then you can market to them again. You can email them again later down the track and say, thanks for visiting us at the market. You weren't successful winning, but here's something else. Or Next week, we've got a special on something else. So use that opportunity to create contacts, basically, get a contact list. And the other thing to think about too, it seems obvious to us that we would post products interstate, but you'd be surprised how many people at a market don't think that you send anything, you know, you're just at the market stall. So reiterate, I have a website, you can order online, and I do ship to Queensland. Remember, you've already asked where they're from, so you're really specific. I can send this to your home in Cairns. So don't let that bit of information slip, because it's surprising people think you won't send your products. Okay, the third one, just cover off on today, because we need time for Q&A at the end, is at the end of the day, you've been at the market for, you know, it's basically 10 hours out of your day, and plus all the preparation time and so forth, and you're going to go home exhausted. What you also need to go home with is not just some cash or, you know, FBOS sales, so money in the bank to help with the cash flow, but you really need to go home and have a profit made from the day. So we often talk about cash flow to help with buying materials to make the product, you know, through the week to go to the market the next time, and that's really important. But if you don't work on a profit principle, then you're going to get to the end of the year and you spend a lot of time and effort, and your business essentially isn't sustainable. So one way of ensuring a profit is, first of all, know how much your product costs to make, to build, whatever. And it's really hard to measure your personal time if you're the artist, but try and add some kind of value into that, factor that in. And so know the cost of your product, and then I would suggest start with like 100% markup on that. And then in that observation period while you're at the market, listen for what people will pay for. If everybody buys your product, it's too cheap. If no one buys your product, it's obviously too expensive. I work on a rule of thumb, like you kind of want to maybe a 10 to 20% bulk rate, like they'll come in and 10 or 20% will leave based on price. So, you know, okay, so they're not my ideal customer, that's fine. It's a little bit outside their price bracket, but I'm still getting a good turnover at this price. So if everybody's buying your stuff, it's too cheap, and I would just suggest just bump it up 30%. Like just get really bold and brave and just go whack, go another like big chunk hike. Remember, most of these people won't come to your market stall again if you're at a place like Salamanca where it's very tourist driven. So don't be fearful, oh, but last week it was only $10 and now it's $13. Just go until you work out what's the ceiling on the price that you can sell your product for. Be brave. This is your product, you've created it, it's your brainchild. And like me, you got up at 5:20 in the morning and it's cold and wet and miserable. You just want to make sure you're going home with some profit. So be brave with your pricing. Don't undersell yourself, and yeah, just keep testing that market until you get the price point where you think people are, you know, the ceiling of what people are prepared, most people are prepared to pay. Remember, you're not for everybody. Learn what sells on your stall, like we talked about before. And one tip is in this, it may not be your favorite thing. So just be mindful of that and be prepared to sell the thing that's probably not your favorite, but it brings in money and it's probably very profitable. So keep taking that to your stall. Resist spending at the market. This is another one to make sure you're going home with a profit. It's very tempting to buy goods from other stalls, and if you do that, then you'll go home without a profit. And often other stall holders will want to do swapsies, and you might need to come up with a line that says, oh, it's not in my budget today to do that. So avoid that sort of thing. My battery's about to go flat. Just give me 1 second.
Well, with what Sam was saying there, she's definitely given everyone permission to be profitable, which I love. You have complete permission to actually make your business a success. So that was great to hear.
And just lastly, I just want to, just in the handout that Sharon's going to give you, I go through this particular tip in a little bit more detail, but I would urge, if you're at the market, to apply what I call the 10% spending rule. So to make sure you go home with a profit, not just some cash, think about this. If you go and buy a coffee for, say, $5, which pretty much everybody at the market will want to do at some point, possibly more than once, given that most small businesses run at about a 10 or a 15% profit margin at the end of overall for a year, think about it this way. This is not an accounting formula. You won't find this in a textbook anywhere. But if you spend $5 on a coffee, I always thought like this, that means you've effectively got to sell $50 worth of a product, like 10 times that, so that you've covered the profit that you would lose. So if you're standing next to a Tasmanian gin store and they sell gin for $80, might be nice, but you've essentially got to sell $800 worth of your product to cover the profit that $80 bottle of gin has just consumed, essentially. Like, this is a very big rule of thumb, but just really be careful if you're spending. Take your own lunch, take a thermos of tea or coffee, take your own water bottle. All those sorts of things will really help you go home with not just cash flow, but profit. And so at the end of the day, you really want to be going home with a profit, build relationships with people that will be your future customers, and know that the products that you take to the market are ones that people want to buy and will continue to buy and love. So yeah, sorry to cram a lot in there, but that's probably my 3 sort of main things, fundamentals to cover off on when you go to a market. And Sharon she'll send you a bigger list of things to cover off on, which helps with things with pricing and other things. So thanks. Hope that was
fantastic.
helpful.
Thank you so much, Sam. That was amazing. So big thanks again to Dee, Kath and Sam. I will just check the Q&A and the chat box to see if there is any questions that need to be addressed today. There also will be an opportunity to ask questions at a later stage. So I will send the details out about that to all that attended today's live webinar. So let me just check that. We have had a thank you from Jody. She appreciates all of the ladies showing up and sharing their insights today. So thank you so much, Jody, for sharing that with us. That's great. We've had a couple of questions answered already through the chat box, so that's brilliant. One of our participants is looking for a checklist of what to take, etc. So I think you'll find that the information that we send on in that Sam has provided is super valuable. So thank you for asking that. And I believe that you have all done an exceptional job of going through everything, because everyone seems very content with the information provided today, which is fabulous. So that's wonderful. I'm just going to wrap up today. So that was our quick questions and comments. So thanks again, everyone. And you will be given another opportunity to ask them, should you prefer to do that after today. And I can understand and appreciate that some people would like to do that after today. So there'll be an opportunity there for you to do that as well. So before we finish up today, once again, I'd like to thank the panelists, our expert panelists, for coming along today and sharing your time, your effort and your energy with us. Please do follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook and Instagram. That's where we announce and release all of our upcoming workshop events and any relevant information for Southern Tasmania. If you are not on our email list, I would also strongly recommend that you head over to our website, as you will see there below, so you can subscribe to our email list. We send from 1 to 3 emails a month with very relevant and pointed information about business here in Southern Tasmania, including all of our workshops as well. If you do have questions after today, feel free to head over to that website address there and ask those questions from today's webinar. You are able to do that online. So just to take a moment to share with you a little bit about our upcoming events, and you can find them all on the tab in the upcoming events at the businesssouth.org.au website. So we always have an opportunity, if you are a new business owner or you are at idea stage, to participate in a considerations when starting a small business workshop. And they are done online and offline, and it is a regular workshop that we do run. We also offer and encourage networking with other small business owners through our very successful and very, very collaborative Coffee and Connections Power Hour. And it has been well received here in Southern Tasmania, and we move around every single month at a different place. So I would highly recommend that you do check out the website to see what is up and coming. And if it does appeal, that you book very fast, because they seem to book out very quickly. We also offer workshops online and offline for all different aspects of running and starting a business, from marketing to core entrepreneurial webinars and workshops on what you should think about, the considerations. And we have amazing guest speakers, as you can see from today, that show up and offer value to our participants as well. So on that note, thank you all once again for being here. It's been my absolute pleasure to host today. And I look forward to seeing everybody again real soon. Have a fantastic afternoon, everyone. Take care.
That was loads of fun. Thanks, Dean, Kath. Thanks, Sharon.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
See you next
Thank
time.
you.
Good luck with your
Bye.
businesses.
Thank you.
Yeah, good luck.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.